right, so we're back for the second part. We just figured out that we were not going to be able to put the phase change lines in before we formatted our data series. So first what we're going to do, now we know, format your data series first. We don't want these blue and orange colors, and we want different markers to keep up with convention. Well, we don't want to do that, so we hit undo. So I'll show you how to make these to convention. So we'll start with the blue data path right now, which is bedtime stress rating. Left click on it once, you'll see multiple things get selected, all the markers. Then we don't want that. We want all the markers because we want to change the whole series. So then right click, format data series. First thing we want to do is, well, we'll start with line. That's where it starts here. We want a solid line. We want it to be black though. Excel did that automatically. If it didn't, we would just change it. We want it to be fairly thin, so 1.25 tends to work. And then we want to look at our markers. Actually, we can use the default for that. That's fine, 1.5. Don't have to mess with the width. Then look at our markers. We don't want them to be blue. So I'm going to make these filled black squares. To do this, I go to marker options, built in. I pick the square. We'll leave the size at 5. The fill, I want solid fill. Solid fill, and I want the color to be black. And then I always have to remember the border. We don't want, so right now if we stop here, we'll have these weird blue lines. So we want the border to also be solid black. Nope, and it looks like I accidentally got into the properties for something else. So format data series, paint bucket, solid line. We were checking out the marker. Yep. Okay, now we've got the borders to be black. Okay, so great. We've got that down. Now we want to change these. I'm going to make these open circles. It's perfectly fine if you want to have filled squares or solid black squares and then solid black circles. The problem though is when you get these data points on top of each other, like right here, or even right here, or right here, it gets hard to see what's going on. So preferable to have one solid and then one filled. So I'm going to grab this data series, right click on it, format data series. Again, the line we're going to make solid black. Now we've got the marker. This time we want, I'll pick circles, so built in. This is as close as Excel gets to a circle, is that one. This time we want no fill and a solid black border. So again, I pick no fill, border, I hit solid line. So now when we look here, we have we have open circles, right? So I actually think right here, when I look at this, I think the line makes it a little hard to see. So I'm going to be picky and I'm going to make our data markers a little bigger. You don't have to be picky and do this. But if you wanted to, you go to marker options, you could up the size. So I think that looks a little better. All right. So then, sometimes this works well, sometimes it doesn't. We still have these overlapping data points, but now at least we kind of see that something is different, right? The square looks like it's gotten eaten up by a circle, so we can tell they're right on top of each other. So the next thing we're going to do is now we're going to put in the phase change lines. So you want to get everything set with your lines and then break them up. So this is where we're putting the breaks in between the sessions where it went from intervention to baseline or vice versa. The DataShand task analysis will tell you to do this differently, to embed it. You can do it differently. We're not going to for this. So this is how you would do it this way. I'm looking for the first place. I want to put a line right before this session where they began intervention. So I'm looking for day 7 where the stress was 80 and sleep was 5. So that's day 5, 6, 7. I double check. This tells me 0.7. That second value in the parentheses is the Y value. I check this one, same thing, day 7, 80. So I right click. This time I'm just going to grab this data point, right click it. I go to line and I tell it don't put a line there. no line. Now I do the same thing to this data series. Format data point, boom, no line. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the different phases. So now I'm looking for day 17 where the stress was 66 and the sleep quality was 6, 15, 16, 17. I'll hover just to check. Yep, sleep quality is 6 and stress is 66. So I'm going to grab that one and say no line. No line there either. Then we're going to have another break on 22 where we have 66 and 9. Getting a little boring by now, but you get the idea. There's 9. Oh, there's 9. And there's 66. So again, no line, no line. And now we're just going to insert our phase change lines. So to do that my way, which I think is a little easier, a little more intuitive at least, we're going to go to insert. We're going to insert a shape right here. I'm going to pick this straight line. We're just going to draw it in there, and Excel loves blue and orange, which I do too because I went to Florida, but I don't like it in my graphs. So I'm going to get this nice and centered. We want it right between, whoops. Between, and then we're going to format shape. So I right clicked on it. Now I'm hitting format. I say I want it to be a black line. I want it to be a little wider. Maybe not that wide. Good enough. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is instead of doing that same process, I'm just gonna copy paste. So I'm selecting it, holding down Control, hitting C to copy. Now holding down Control, hitting V to paste. And I'll just move it right on over. Same thing, holding Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So now I've chopped up my conditions. Beautiful, I just need to label them now. So to do this, I'm going to use text boxes to label each phase. So go to Insert, pick text box. Right here, I'm going to call this baseline because it is baseline. Notice I'm moving this not so it's perfectly centered or in a magic spot, but just so it's not in the way of the data points. So baseline, it's out of the way. I'm going to, again, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Drag the same label to baseline. Here I'm going to put it a little to the left because I think it's less distracting. Paste another one. Move it over here, but this one's called meditation. Just type that right in. Got to move this one around to keep it out of the way. And this one I'm just going to copy and paste, drag over here. All right, so there we have it. So at this point, we really have the main elements of our graph. We just want to do kind of a final check. So I'm noticing this text looks gray. Sometimes Excel is just kind of wonky. So I make sure it's black. Now it's black. Actually, all of this text looked gray. Could be that I just forgot to change it. And that's okay. You just want to be making graphs really an area where you just want to be making sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and that you are being detail oriented. All right. So now we're looking pretty good. We have all this. The final thing to do is, and then we see, no, this legend, the text is gray. All right. So here we go. We have our graph now, and we're ready to move it over to Excel. So what we're going to do is click here and get just this chart selected. Then what I did there was I held down Control and I hit A for select all. Now I'm going to go hold down Control, select C for copy. Going to open up PowerPoint.